Rachel Zegler finally did it. She apologized. Sort of. After months of silence, backlash, and one of the biggest Disney box office disasters in years, Rachel tried to clean it up, but in true Hollywood fashion, the apology wasn't really an apology. It was a carefully worded essay that somehow blamed her critics, defended her original comments, and called herself a strong woman. All in the same breath, she lit the match, and now she's shocked the fire spread. That, more than anything, is why this whole thing is blowing up again. Let's not sugarcoat it. Snow White was a train wreck. From the trailers alone, it was clear something was off. The CGI looked unfinished, the tone felt smug, and most importantly, the audience wasn't buying it, literally. Families, the people Disney relies on, stayed away in droves. Why? Because they felt insulted. This wasn't just a modern retelling, it was a rejection of everything the original stood for. The charm, the innocence, the legacy, it all got tossed in favor of half-baked empowerment messaging no one asked for. By the time Snow White limped out of theaters, Disney had lost more than just money. They'd lost trust. And guess who ended up at the center of it all? Rachel Zegler. It's almost hard to believe now, but Rachel was once being positioned as Disney's next princess powerhouse. She had West Side Story, then Shazam, Fury of the Gods, and then Snow White. 3 major projects, 3 chances to become a household name. And yet, each one performed worse than the last. Now, she's got one upcoming project, an indie film with Marisa Tay. Low budget, no major studio backing. The kind of movie you promote with local film festival posters, not Super Bowl ads. Hollywood's message is crystal clear. She's not bankable anymore. And when you mix bad press with box office failure, that's a combo this industry doesn't forgive. Rachel's statement was supposed to be damage control, but instead of showing growth, she doubled down. She said, "I'm sorry for how I could have taken those comments better than I did." Then came the line, "Being a powerful woman, like Snow White, means staying silent in the face of toxic critics." That's not an apology. That's marketing copy dressed up as accountability. She regrets how she sounded, but not what she stood for. She called her critics toxic, then asked for grace. The tone was off, the timing was late, and the message? Confused. Audiences caught on immediately. It felt like a performance. Because we've seen this before. Hollywood has a blueprint for this kind of thing. Brie Larson walked it during Captain Marvel. She dismissed critics, took a hard stance, then awkwardly pulled back in later interviews. The backlash didn't go away, but the studio did what studios do, pushed forward and hoped people forgot. Gina Carano? Different strategy. She stood firm, never apologized, and got dropped. End of story. Then there's Zendaya. The opposite. She avoids controversy, stays quiet, and lets her work speak. That's how you build a career. Not with statements, but with silence and consistency. Rachel, on the other hand, leaned all the way in. No pivot, no pause. Just more rhetoric about being misunderstood, all while the audience quietly moved on. Let's be clear, this wasn't just Rachel. Executives greenlit every moment of this disaster. The casting, the messaging, the talking points, all of it. There were meetings, decks, strategy briefs. Somewhere, someone at Disney pitched this reboot not as a tribute, but as a teardown. They wanted to modernize Snow White by erasing everything that made it iconic. And Rachel? She became the poster child for that erasure. When she mocked the prince as a stalker and called the original outdated, she wasn't improvising. She was delivering the studio line. The fact that no one at the top paused and said, "Hey, maybe don't attack the legacy IP before asking fans for money," tells you everything about Disney's current leadership. Disney framed this remake as a bold new take. No prince, no damsel, just a heroine in boots marching forward. Fine. Great. Even if it had felt authentic. But it didn't. It felt like a press release in movie form. Rachel's interviews painted the original film as embarrassing. She scoffed at the idea of romance and laughed off the prince. And when the backlash hit, her apology wrapped the whole thing in modern empowerment language. In 2025, we need to focus on women and the value of women. Sure, but the issue wasn't gender, it was tone. She wasn't pushing boundaries. She was condescending to the very audience Disney depended on. You can reimagine a fairy tale. But mocking it while you're promoting it? That's not progress. That's sabotage. The numbers don't lie. The film flopped. Audiences stayed away, families boycotted, and Disney took a hit. But this wasn't just about poor ticket sales. It was about perception, about betrayal, about a company that seemed more interested in preaching than entertaining. The original Snow White was the foundation of Disney's empire. To treat it like a relic to be fixed instead of a story to be cherished, that was the real mistake. And Rachel was the face of that mistake. This wasn't a one-off. It's a pattern. Mulan removed its magic and bombed. The Little Mermaid didn't resonate worldwide. Pinocchio came and went without anyone noticing. Disney keeps pumping out remakes with bloated budgets, weak scripts, and sanitized stories, then acts surprised when the audience shrugs. It's the same cycle. Reinvent the classic, alienate the fan base, launch the PR tour, then blame the backlash on fan resistance. The only thing consistent in this formula? The failure. Trade outlets are calling her next film with Marisa Tay a comeback. But let's be honest, it's damage control. This is a small-budget indie with limited reach. There are no billboards, no massive rollout, just a quiet hope that people forget what happened. And even then, the apology tour isn't gaining traction. It doesn't sound sincere. It sounds like a PR intern was handed a script and a deadline. Audiences can smell insincerity, and in this case, they're not buying it. Could Rachel bounce back? Technically, yes. Hollywood loves a comeback, but only when it feels earned. What we've seen so far isn't growth. It's calculated. It's safe. It's, I'm sorry you were offended, dressed up in pastel colors and soft lighting. If she wants a second chance, she'll need more than good lighting. She'll need accountability, real humility, something that isn't rehearsed. Until then, she's going to keep starring in films no one watches, and Disney will keep pretending they don't know what went wrong. Here's the part Hollywood doesn't seem to get. Audiences are not allergic to change, they're allergic to bad storytelling. Look at Into the Spider-Verse, wildly inventive, completely reimagined, and universally beloved. Barbie took a pink plastic brand and turned it into a box office juggernaut by blending satire with sincerity. The Last of Us adapted a video game and still managed to move people to tears. Fans don't mind innovation, they just don't want to be lectured or talked down to. If the story is good, if the characters are real, the audience will come. Every time a controversy hits, Disney runs the same playbook. Deny, deflect, distract. First, they claim the backlash is overblown. Then they say it's rooted in hate. Finally, they release another trailer for something else and hope we move on. But audiences have caught on. They're tired of the spin, tired of being blamed for not liking something that doesn't speak to them. Disney isn't just losing box office share, it's losing goodwill, and that's a much harder thing to buy back. Rachel Zegler thought silence was strength, that a carefully worded note could rewrite public memory. But apologies only work when they're real, and studios only recover when they learn. Right now, neither seems capable of doing either. The tragedy of Snow White isn't just a failed remake. It's a masterclass in what happens when storytelling becomes strategy and sincerity gets swapped for spin. The world didn't turn on Rachel because she was bold. It turned because she was careless. And now both she and Disney are left picking up the pieces with fewer people willing to watch.